Hi, it's Joy Foster, founder of Tech Pixies, host of the Sparkle and Thrive podcast. And the next few podcasts, we will be showcasing some of our amazing coaches, women who work behind the scenes to make sure that the curriculum at Tech Pixies is up to date, and then also coach our amazing community through that curriculum, answering any questions, doing hot seats, helping them to make progress with the networks that they're working on in social media. So, Abby Moore, you are our new head of our social media management certification program. You run the whole shebang now, which is so exciting. Abby came and started working with us a couple of years ago, and she has a huge history doing successful social media management across multiple platforms for multiple different organizations. So we're delighted that she's heading up our program. We wish Pip Isles the best. She's moved on from Tech Pixies to do some amazing things. And we're so grateful that Abby is back at Tech Pixies helping us out. And the curriculum that Abby is, she's responsible for is our social media management certification curriculum, but she's also responsible for individual networks within that curriculum. And the two that she not only is responsible for, but also coaches on are TikTok and YouTube. So Abby, we are going to be catching up today with you on the trends for 2024 that we should be looking out for on TikTok and YouTube. And I think it's fair to say that short form video is not going away and that TikTok and YouTube are leading the way on those two.
Yeah, for sure. And when you think about how, the stats blow my mind. YouTube receives over 30 million visitors a day, and YouTube's been around for a long time now. And you think that these platforms might start to sort of, they ebb and flow a bit, but they might start to die off. But I think with over 400 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every minute, it's not going anywhere.
Wow, 400 hours of video uploaded every minute.
Yeah. And 1 billion hours watched daily. So,
wow.
It's not going anywhere. But like you said, short form video in the format of shorts on YouTube is definitely one of the trends that is not really necessarily just new for this year, but it's definitely not going anywhere.
Well, it's interesting because we have a client, Tech Pixies doesn't really do agency work anymore, but someone did ask us last year if we would do their social media for them. And we've now been doing it for just over a year. We revamped their social media channels in September, October of 2022. And then we ran all their socials across YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter, which we ended up dropping because it was so ineffective. But what we found was we made a decision sort of in the summer of 2023 to start doing shorts. So to take her longer videos and just pull a 1 minute clip out of it and put that up on the shorts. And she had one video that just skyrocketed her views. And that's all it really takes is it's really actually quantity will lead to quality in terms of the fact that you don't know what's going to take off. But once one does, then it brings everything up. So YouTube, so if you're doing YouTube, you don't want to just be doing YouTube long form videos. You absolutely need a short form video strategy.
I think we said it in one of the coaching calls recently. I wouldn't just rely on shorts because I always feel like when people find your account, they want to binge. And I know I'd be a bit disappointed if I went on and I got hooked on the shorts and then there was nothing of more substance behind that. But I do think my daughter's got a YouTube channel and I've sort of not had the time to edit the long form videos. And so I said, yeah, crack on, put shorts up. And she had one that I was a bit, well, you can put it up, but it's not very good. I didn't really get it. And it had, I think it did 9.6 thousand views and she's got just like 1,300 followers, so subscribers. So you never know what's, like Joy said, you never know what's going to take off, what's not going to take off. But sometimes you get these sort of outliers and I would always say try and replicate the outlier a bit just to see whether it works again. But I think a balance between long form and short form, but definitely especially if you're busy and you need a break from the long form content, put some shorts up and you'll be amazed at what can happen from them for sure.
Well, what I'm noticing too is a lot of people are reintroducing some of their best trending stuff. So they're not just using that one video once. They're actually reintroducing it even once a year. They're reintroducing. I saw one yesterday that was like, this is where it all started with this one video, and actually going back and republishing content. It's not that you take down the original content, you leave the original up, but you're actually republishing the most viral content because the algorithm picks it back up again. I find that really interesting.
I think that's something that I used to do in the olden days as a blogger because not everyone reads it the first time, and I've always done it. And I think even annually, but I think sometimes you can get away with slightly more often than that, because there's these sort of scary stats that say 6% of your followers see anything at any one time. That's not just on YouTube, but it's very low amount of people that see anything. And it's not just whether they see it, but it's whether they're in the right mindset to take it in. And they've got dogs barking, kids shouting, kids need to get to school. It might be on their feed, but they might not actually. So I think I always have like a content bank, and you might think, oh, it's just easier to whack things up, without actually having that structure behind it. It's easier just to post it. But if you can make a record of the links and all of the captions and stuff, it makes recycling that content so much easier going forward. So it's a little bit more work on the sort of the front end, but it then pays you back when every 6 months you can just rotate that content, and you might tweak it or you might just repost it. But I do think reposting content in any form is something that people think I think they think it's a cheat, but it's not, because people didn't see it. So just repost it again and see whether it works this time around.
Yeah, and I think that's something people, like you said, in the old days you would do it, but now you think, oh, I've got to create something fresh every single time. So let's talk about let's first talk about the YouTube trends, and then we'll move on to TikTok. What are you seeing as a trend in YouTube, especially as we go into 2024?
Yes, it's not something that necessarily is going to start in 2024, but the AI is definitely something that is becoming more prevalent, and people are getting more comfortable with ChatGPT and all of the other things that you can use, the DALL-E one that you can use for it more, and the image-based ones. And I think you can use AI for thumbnails, for scripts, for editing, for voiceovers. There's so many ways that you can use it, and people are starting to use it more. And in this year, they're going to continue to do that. And there's some completely sort of automated channels now that are just AI. But with that, YouTube are introducing more stricter guidelines, and you have to declare that you've used AI, and they're going to really sort of clamp down, I feel, on anything that people are trying to get things under the.
Well, the thing you've got with AI is deep fake, which is actually, so for those of you who are sort of new to this, to the key terminology of social media, deep fake is where it's a video that's made to look like a real video, but it's not. In fact, my husband showed me a deep fake of Donald Trump the other day, and I was like, I can't believe you said that. And he's like, no, Joy, this is deep fake. It looks so real. And I mean, you can sort of, with him, you don't know what he's going to say, but it was a video of him talking about rugby, saying, well, I invented rugby. But it was so real. And it was, actually, I mean, on a serious note, the scary part of deepfake is where what you're hearing happening, where a lot of people listen to this podcast are moms. They have teenage daughters. So one of the things that's happening is a recorded call from your daughter saying, I'm in an emergency, or this has happened to me, and it's in your daughter's voice, because they can pull the voice off of social media, especially if they're prolific on social media. I mean, I have a teenage daughter. She is very restricted in what she can do on social media. And we do have to put those boundaries down, because they can pull the images, they can pull the videos, they can, that was the problem that happened with Taylor Swift and X/Twitter. I mean, one of the reasons, I mean, we didn't decide to come off of X because of what happened to Taylor Swift, but I can see where X Twitter is going, and I don't want to be on it. So Tech Pixies has made the decision to completely pull off of Twitter. Our clients have come off of Twitter /X. But what happened to Taylor Swift was a deep fake. It was horrible. And so I think, it's understanding that it's out there, and how do we protect ourselves from it? I guess that's something we're going to have to probably go deeper onto in another podcast, but you're right. There is this element of, it's now getting harder and harder to tell what's a real video and what's not a real video.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there is systems in place that if someone has done that to you, you can request removal of that content if it's impersonating you or infringes on your privacy. But again, that takes time, and it's the fact that people will have seen it before you've seen it. And it's not a nice thing to do. I think with everything there is a balance, and with social media in general, it's great for loads of things, and there's a negative side. With AI, it's amazing for so many things, and there is the negative side that we need to balance. But it's definitely something that everyone needs to be thinking of, especially those of us with children.
Yeah, absolutely. So what other things are you seeing in addition to AI?
There is a rise in authenticity, and people have spoken about this before, but there are some channels that are moving more towards completely unfiltered, completely authentic. There's a couple of note. There's a bodybuilder called Sam Sulek, Sulek, and there's Dry Creek Wrangler School as well, which I think started as a horse channel and now is more like motivational kind of content that they put out. But it's like pretty much no edits, basically no thumbnails, just a picture. It's really authentic, and they sort of say it's more intimate with the viewers because there's no filters, there's no, and I think that is something that some people do. I'd also balance that again with it's not going to work for everyone and people like it, but actually there's another thing where YouTube are introducing a thumbnail tool where you can test multiple thumbnails at once.
So almost like a split test of thumbnail.
Yeah, but you can do it with that, and I think it's more than two. It's they say multiple.
So that's very cool.
Upload loads of different thumbnails, and then it can test and show you the best one, and then you can like select that. So it's exactly like split testing for landing pages, but for thumbnails.
And I think it's important when we talk about thumbnails, because actually thumbnails are really key to getting someone to watch your video. And so it's interesting that it is working for some people without thumbnails, but up until now, I mean, anyone who knows who Mr. Beast is, I have a 12-year-old son, so I know who Mr. Beast is. But one of his things is that they will test lots of different thumbnails. So I find that to be very interesting that they're introducing a way to split test thumbnails.
Yeah, it's so exciting, especially because it is always the kind of, you're like, when you're designing a thumbnail, it's the most important. It is the most important thing that would get someone to click your video, because you notice the thumbnail before you even read the words on the thumbnail and before you look at the title. So and we've had things where we've had an outlier video that we've been like, there's no reason why that video has outperformed, but it's had like an orange thumbnail. So then I tested orange thumbnail, and the next one did the same thing and went well as well. So it's for your own channel, just testing and seeing what works. But I think I do believe there's sort of these authentic channels that aren't using the typical thumbnails. There must be something else. It must be something else in their content that's helping. I don't think it's just the fact that they just have the most basic, boring thumbnail. That's I think that is. Somebody's clicked on those, and then the video has got that great content that's drawn people in. But also another thing that we're going to see more of is gamification. So increase in the quizzes and puzzles and challenges and things that would engage the viewers, and trivia based videos that help small creators. So you could have, like, if you're a dressmaker, you could have trivia about dressmaking, and you can use it in any way.
Bringing an interactive space to videos.
The more sort of, anything that can replicate that sort of gamification, and how do we get people involved in the channel more than just leaving a comment. There has also been this was a shift last year, but it's obviously going to continue, is the sort of stronger emphasis on community, and they did that by lowering the subscriber to get monetization. But I need to be clear, it's not complete monetization, it's just the fan funding side of the monetization. So it used to be, and it still is, for ad revenue, 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, and that's still the case to get ad revenue on your account.
So is it either or is it both? You have
It's
to have
both.
1,000 subscribers and
Both.
4,000
Yeah,
hours of watch time.
yeah. And there is the watch time can be different if it's for YouTube Shorts, but it's a lot more. So it's like, 1 million or something, or it's different. But they lowered it to 500 and to get money from fans. So that's like your super chats and your stickers and super thanks and channel memberships that people can introduce on their own channel, and that's down to 500 subscribers and 3,000 hours of watch time. So it's kind of a stepping stone. I think most small channels probably aren't going to get the monetization that way, because nobody's going to be thanking and doing those things for those small channels, but it makes you feel like you've achieved something that's a stepping stone.
And I guess in that way, YouTube still is like your ability to run your own, show, whatever show you want to do it on. It's really, we're doing a live podcast show on there, but there's room for so much more. It's not, it can be a live podcast. It could be a live gardening. It could be a live gardening show. It could be a procured gardening show. It could be a live wine show.
Yeah.
It could be so interestingly enough, the longer form videos for a lot of people are really heavily edited and procured. What you're saying is there's this call for more authentic ones, but what you do see is that it's really like people creating their own shows, their own series of whatever it is that they are passionate about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, YouTube have the sort of 3 types of video that it wants you to create: the hub, hero, and help content. And I think for quite a lot of us, the hub and the help get mixed in together, because your hub content is the regular content that you're churning out, on a weekly basis or whatever. And when I used to teach like how to monetize your blog, the help, that was really my help content. That's what I put out there. And your hero content is that I'm pregnant or I've just had a baby, and those sort of big things that obviously don't happen that often. And I think that feeds into what you're saying about creating sort of a series, that feeds into that as well. But what you were also saying about live streaming, that's something that's going to continue as a trend next year. Well, this year, I'm saying next year, this year as well. And you can do things like Q&As live, or you can introduce your products or services live. You can, even if you've got, if you're a brand that's got a brand influencer, you can sort of get them on and introduce them live as well. And when your channel's at a certain level, then you can sort of have products on your live streams and things like that. So live is definitely something that's going to continue to sort of grow in popularity. But I think with all these things, we keep on coming back to balance, and I think it is a balance. I would never say to someone that's just starting YouTube, hey, just go completely unfiltered, don't bother editing your videos and just be really raw. I think that's something that you can try when you've got a bit of traction. I would always say that most channels that are doing well are edited. Not, you can see people putting a lot of effort into the edit, really think about the content, and create that kind of great video and that great product that we want to get that traction, and then maybe do a sort of really authentic one and see what happens. But I think that you'd have to be very lucky to do a video that's this authentic, raw situation and get it picked up straight away, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, it's interesting when we look at our stats, the live videos don't get as many views as then our edited and re-released videos. So we'll do this video like we're doing right now, which goes onto the podcast. It is also sitting on YouTube, but does not get the views as much as our edited and then republished content does.
Yeah.
And we do, we have a person on our team, Kelly. She's our social media community manager. She oversees our social media intern. She does a lot of the SEO work on YouTube. So let's talk about that. I mean, SEO for YouTube is still very important, because one of the things that we've started to do is use a third-party software to sort of say, yes, you've got the green light on every single part of your YouTube video. So why is SEO so important on YouTube?
Well, because YouTube's a search engine, not really a social media platform. So people think it's social media, and we treat it like it's a social media platform. But it is the second largest search engine, owned by the world's first largest search engine, which is Google. So people often, there is a degree of an amount of people, and I'm included, who go to watch their favorite YouTubers and and consume that content. But quite often you go to YouTube to find out how to put out your camping bed in your camper, for Joy, or for me, how to suck diesel out of your car when you've just written it off and you've just put diesel in it. So you go with intent. You go to Google and YouTube with that search intent. And if you've not matched your video and you've not told YouTube what your video is about in these really basic terms, you've not said, this is a chocolate cake recipe, Google, like, and YouTube push that to somebody that's searching for chocolate cake recipe, it doesn't know. So somebody might find it, but let's just like hedge our bets a bit more and make sure that they can find it by putting those search terms around our video. So we can do that in multiple different ways. So I would always say the first thing that sometimes surprises people, that when you save your MP4 file on your computer, save it with the keywords of the video. So if it's chocolate cake recipe or the best chocolate cake recipe, save it as the best chocolate cake recipe, because then when you upload it to YouTube know what it is. If you save it as 4563 final .mp4, it's just harder for it to know. So I'd always find out what keyword you want to use, and keyword is just the word that you think someone's going to type in to find that content. So they're going to type in the best chocolate cake recipe, maybe. So that's what we call a long tail keyword.
We're now all off to search for the best chocolate cake.
Honestly, I need to think of some more like examples, because I always come back to chocolate cake. But it needs to be in the title, what you name your actual video file. It needs to be in your title, your description. It needs to be the first tag on your video. And what Joy's saying about these tools are probably a tool like vidIQ or TubeBuddy that you can install as a Google Chrome add-on, and you can pay. There's probably a free version, but most of them, I think I pay about $15 a month for vidIQ, but it does tell you exactly what you need to hit to get that green light to have the SEO as good as it can to then publish that video. So I feel it's a no-brainer if you want your videos to go well, because it really does point you in exactly the right direction, doesn't it, as to what you need to do.
So what is something that you can do as well to, let's say, so we're very close to the 500 subscriber mark, which we're trying to get to, and then obviously we'll go for the 1,000 mark. What are things you can do to encourage subscriptions?
I always think that, I mean, there's so many things you can do. You can create great content. You can really up your thumbnails. You can, there's a list of all the growth strategies that will really help. But I really believe that one of the biggest things is engagement, is creating that community, is going on to other people's channels and commenting. And then people see that you've got great views, and they actually see you, and then they'll come to your channel too. And
what you're saying is YouTube is leaning more into community than it ever has before.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that I do believe that on every platform, we sometimes think we'll build it and they'll come, but they don't unless they know you're there. And you can do all the SEO, and it can really, really help. But somebody seeing you comment on, for example, my daughter's got a horse channel. If she goes on and comments on one of the big YouTubers, every time they have a video out, people are going to start seeing her name, and then they're going to start going over to her channel. And that's one of the biggest things. Yes, we can do lots of things, like we can copy a great one of our competitors. We can use one of those tools Joy was talking about, and we can kind of copy their tags, and we can use their tags, and then it has more chance of showing up in suggested videos, and all of these things that we can do. But actually, let's be human, and let's go to someone's channel, and let's support other people, and then that comes back to us. I really believe that we can do lots of tricks and things.
Well, and I think that's true, especially when you're starting out. You don't get masses of comments. So actually, when you do I love getting comments on YouTube. And when I do get them, I do love going back and replying. And I think that's also important. It's the no comment left behind. If someone leaves a comment on your video, go and reply to them, go and connect with them. They are someone who's given you their time, their precious, valuable time to watch what you've created. And so it's important to acknowledge them.
Exactly. I always say heart the comments, reply to them, reply if you can without it being a bit weird with a question. Someone said, I like the video. Great. What did you like about it? Yeah. And then it encourages them to kind of, and it's not just that, oh, thanks. That's not. Well, how does that help anyone? So if someone,
I like replying to a comment with a question, because it keeps the conversation going.
Exactly.
Kelly, who is our social media manager, community manager, she oversees our intern program. She says she loves vidIQ. She's a total vidIQ pro now. She can nail all of our videos at 100, which is exciting. And Claire Louise, so much great advice so far. Thank you, Abby. Yes. And Lisa, of course, who is our designer, she's watching today. She's also a YouTuber. She has a tropical gardening channel on YouTube in England, by the way. But she says they have a lovely community in the tropical gardening space. So this idea of community on YouTube, this is really a new concept. It was not something we were talking about last year or the year before, for sure.
No.
When we introduced YouTube, when we introduced YouTube to our curriculum, community was not something we were talking about. I know that for a fact. So this is a big deal that is shifting that way. Let's shift gears to anything you want to add about TikTok about YouTube before we move to TikTok.
I think we're good. We're good on the main things.
All right, good. So community, artificial intelligence, thumbnails, the split testing of thumbnails, and shorts.
Yeah, mainly.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and Anya, I love it. Anya's watching live. She says, great ideas. I'll definitely use these on my channel. Yeah, and Anya, I just have to say, I'm very proud of you. She has been working methodically every month, creating crochet and knitting videos. I think it's crochet, right, Anya? But she's doing all these really cool projects, and she's getting better and better and better at them. The more she does them, the better she's getting at them. So Anya, I just want to acknowledge you because you're taking the advice that Abby's been giving you as a coach, and you're applying it. So we're grateful to you for that. Okay, so let's switch gears. Let's go to drive our car to TikTok. The TikTok direction. So what's going on with TikTok? What are your thoughts?
TikTok, the stats are incredible as well. I've written it down because I didn't want to forget, but 834.3 million active users last year. And that's the 30.8 million active daily users. So it's actually the same users as YouTube in terms of daily users. But it's actually insane. It says there's 5.3 billion internet users and 23% of them use TikTok.
Wow.
I just find that mad. Like when you think of all the old people that use the internet, but they still, there's still that, like almost a quarter of all people that use the internet use TikTok. It's incredible. And if you're an over 18 in America, you probably spend about 55, 56 minutes a day on TikTok, which that's quite a big chunk of your day. But TikTok have come out,
especially considering some of the content.
I know. There is good stuff there, but you
got to find it. You have to actively find it.
TikTok have come out and said their macro trend for 2024 is creative bravery. So they've actually come out and said what their sort of trend is going to be, their sort of big
that could go so many different ways. What do they define creative bravery?
They said they believe that growth sits in the unknown and uncomfortable. So they want you to be, so whether you're a freelancer or a tried and tested sort of brand, they want you to show creative bravery, not only show it, but bake it. These are their words, bake it into their behavior strategy and content. So, and you can take that any way you like, but I think it's obvious that they don't want the same old content, and they're going to reward people that have got that creative bravery. See that as, take that however you want. They've also pointed out a few things like curated curiosity is another one of their trends for this year. And it's like unique topic. They want to show people unique topics that you as a person don't really necessarily think you're interested in. So potentially you're someone that's interested in makeup, and they might want you to sort of get into a niche or start looking at videos on homemade makeup or something you never thought you were interested in. So it's that kind of, they're going to curate these niches and try showing you those in the feed that then obviously you'll be interested in because you're interested in makeup. So it's kind of taking you in these slightly more niche ways. But yeah, creative bravery. I'm scared at what might happen about that.
I was just thinking of all the dumb ways to die.
I know. And their other word is,
but actually, I mean, this touches on a huge point, which is that creating content, video content, does require a certain amount of bravery. I mean, we have the sign "Be Brave" behind me, which is, and we've got sweatshirts. You know, if you want your Tech Pixie swag, you can go to techpixies.com/swag and get a Be Brave sweatshirt, which are beautiful sweatshirts. I'm super excited about them. We collaborated with Northern Brights on them, but I think being a creative person requires bravery, because you have to put ideas out there that you don't know if they're going to work or not. And, and actually, like you said, sometimes the things you think are going to work totally flop, and the things that don't work totally thrive. And it's trying to, it is being brave with your ideas and trying them out. And so did they give any examples?
No, they didn't, because I think they just want you to just go in and have at it and see what happens. But I do think you're right in terms of, I think when we don't know whether something's going to go well or not, whatever that is, whatever that means. And so there is that element of bravery in everything that we create. And I think it's having that, learning to be slightly detached from the content that you put out there. You can put all of your love and effort into it, but then when it's out there, it's not a reflection of you, as in, like, if it doesn't go well, it doesn't mean that you're not a great person, and I think we sometimes feel that it's much more connected to us than it is. It's just a bit of content that you put out there, and you might have done really well to put it out there, but it doesn't mean anything. The reaction to that content doesn't mean anything to you. And I think that's something to bear in mind. And then we can probably be a bit braver. And there is always that thing where you're like, should I put this out? Should I not put this out? But TikTok want you to put it out, so go for it. They also want you to have, which again is their choice of words. It's quite bizarre, but they want unhinged storytelling, apparently. And it's storytelling that is unpredictable. So they want you to hook people in, and maybe in an unpredictable, unusual way, and therefore they'll stay on your platform, your account longer, and the platform in general longer. So it doesn't want the tried and true, boring storytelling. It wants you to think of a new way you can tell that story. So that's something that we can all do. We can do that in any way, really, can't we? We can just break up a story, we can tell it in different places, we can take someone on a journey.
I am seeing that happen. And actually what you see a lot is people taking their TikTok videos and republishing them on YouTube with the TikTok logo. And interestingly enough, they're just giving you a teeny tiny slice of the story so that you then want to listen to part 2 or part 3. And they're using a lot of B-roll. I'm seeing that as well. And so for those who don't know terminology yet, B-roll is external videos that you put into your video. So you're telling a story. The one I was watching last night was this woman, and she was talking about, and there's a lot of weird stuff on these channels, like, right? I mean, I'm not, I love it, but it's also weird. But it was about this child telling his mother that, she's his favorite mom, that he selected her, and that, like, he used to follow her walking in the woods. And it was a bit weird, but
it was watching, Joy.
Oh, I know. So I like, there's a part of me that really loves the spiritual side of life. And so this idea that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, I connect to that. I love that. And I think it's true. I mean, did you wake up this morning and go, oh, Abby, remind yourself to breathe? Like there's something in you breathing you, right? That's what we call life. So I do love these stories, and I don't know how, are they true? Are they not true? I don't know, but they're entertaining. And what was interesting is that they had B-roll. So she's talking about, her son picking her while she's like out in the woods walking. And then there's B-roll of this woman walking in the woods, right? So it's, to illustrate a point, right?
Yeah.
But so you're seeing short parts of the story that lead you right up to the hook to the next part of the story. Then they're cutting off the video, and you got to follow the channel to get the next version of the next part of the story. Exactly but right. Also using B-roll to make it come to life a little bit more.
Yeah, that's true. I think TikTok is now evolving a bit more as a search engine as well. So it's trying to not just have that, you go on an opportunistic viewing, that they're trying to put more features into it so that people are finding content that they want, rather than just having to be fed like this, which as Joy's face, she's been fed a lot of stuff that's a bit weird recently. We need to give Joy some virtual hugs.
I have just told my kids they're not allowed. I mean, I've just said you're not allowed, full stop. You're not allowed, because there is no filtering whatsoever. You
No.
just get, until you teach the algorithm what you want, you get. This is why I prefer Facebook Reels personally. I know we're not talking about Facebook today, but I personally prefer Facebook Reels because they're so much more like nice and kind.
Relevant as well.
Yeah, but I think Facebook knows me much better than TikTok does. But
Yeah.
I just, there is an element of sensationalism, but we have to teach it. I mean, you have
Yeah.
to teach it for two reasons. One, it is a phenomenal way to get viral, organic following of a community that cares about what you're talking about or doing. So we would be remiss to not teach it, because
exactly.
we have one person in our community that she's been consistently creating TikTok videos. One of her videos got 4 million views. She ended up getting 4,000 followers off the back of it. Like, she's building a community to eventually sell a product. But even for her, that fast fame, if you will, was very overwhelming. When she hit the 4 million and she had the 4,000 followers, it was like, oh my gosh, like, what do I do now? And so there is an element of that. And I just find it, anyway, I'm going to be honest, and I think this is authenticity here, is to say, it's not a channel that I am in love with at all. However, when people do find the rhythm on it, it can be hugely instrumental in building your business and your reputation.
I don't know if anyone saw The Dragon's Den recently. I don't know whether it was the last one or the one before. There was a chap that had he built a tree house sort of situation for his little boy, but it was like, decent sort of size thing. And then he had one TikTok video showing it, and it's now booked out for the next 3 years or something. And he's had to make more and more and more. And he basically can't keep up with the demand. And it was based on like one TikTok video that went viral. So it's not going to happen for everyone, but when it does happen, the power there is amazing. And so I think, although I've said about, they're going to try and do more sort of non-personalized searches, so they're going to increase the search engine side of it, I think entertainment is still going to rule on TikTok. So and it's going to be anything that's fun and entertaining has got more chance of going than anything that's necessarily something that you'd search for. So I think that's worth bearing in mind, that you can have these brands that blow up, but in general, it's people are searching for that entertainment.
But that's a point, actually. That's my like sort of end of the day reward, is like 30 minutes on Facebook Reels. And I know we're not talking about Facebook today, but I can't handle TikTok. So I stick with Facebook Reels. But that is my like sort of, okay, you finished, that's my, it's the wind down. And then I do my evening routine. But I really do, for that entertainment value, for, because I don't really watch TV. It's sort of like it's my, if I do watch the news, it's my post news. I got to break up all of the, I feel like right now I sort of have, and I don't have to watch the news, but I feel like at the moment, with all the stuff going on in the world, you sort of want to, you want to know, you want to have some compassion and empathy for what's going on in the world. But then I've got to then counter that with something that's not so depressing and challenging to listen to.
It is important. And I do think we need to have that little bit of filling our joy, filling ourselves back up with a bit of joy, because it's, it can be, I tend to not watch the news because it's just too.
Well, I gave up on it completely, but then I did start watching it the last few months. We have a student in our community who lives in Israel, so and we have people from all different backgrounds, and so I think it's but I think at the end of the day, you do have to really, as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, stand guard at the portal of your mind. You have to very actively the algorithm will take over if you don't tell the algorithm what you want to look at. So that's the point. So in terms of, both channels, YouTube and TikTok, what are the ways that you can indicate to the networks, this is what I'm not interested in, this is what I am interested in? How do we do that?
I mean, they're still, even if you do, you're making sure you're only watching certain things, and that you're, not watching other stuff. That's going to be the basic thing, is if something's there, we're going to scroll past it. We're not going to hover over it. we're not going to click on it. We're not going to look at it and go, oh, it's like my husband got a load of cat videos. He's like, why have I got cat videos? I says, you must have clicked on a cat video at some point. It's not rocket science, So I think it is, like you say, being quite strict with what we can, they've not got as good a facility like Facebook. Have got a lot of things where you can I'm not interested in this, and it's not as evolved on those other platforms, but it's just really being strict, not staying on something, not looking at it going, why am I
I
being
think that's
shown
it.
this?
It's the
Yeah,
fast skip through. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Claire Louise is watching. She says, I watched one video about the viral split-ins trimmer. Now my page is full of them. I'm not
But
going to
you
go
watched one, and that was your downfall. So it takes some time to then retrain that algorithm to say, look, I'm really not interested. I watched it because I was curious. I'm not interested anymore.
Well, interestingly enough, the video that went the most viral for me on TikTok last year was when I was building the curriculum. I was like committed to doing some videos just so I could show people what videos were. So I had to create a video, which was, I think it was a duet. And it was of this woman who was showing people how to curl their hair. Yeah. And so I did a duet with her, and I for anyone who, there's a reason I don't have fancy hair and makeup. Like, I'm not coordinated enough to do those things. And I am not girl enough to do those things. And so anyway, I did this video where I was trying to curl my hair like the person was curling her hair. And I mean, it still gets views. It's like at 24,000, 25,000 views. And it did lead to a growth in our following. And it made me realize, actually, I was the tomboy, so maybe one of my TikTok themes, if I was to really go in for it, would be to actually, like, the tomboy tries to be a girl.
Yeah. But you just never know, do you? And it's worth trying these things out, because you just never know what's gonna work and what kind of comes out of that. I think that's really important, to just try stuff sometimes, and that's when we need to be brave to try stuff and think, you know what, it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't work.
Well, I was in my robe. I was trying to go to a dinner, and I had to do my hair, and of course, I totally failed. It was a complete hair fail. I had like one side of my hair half semi-curled, and the other side just didn't work at all. I love this a good idea. Jane says, lobster videos courtesy of my daughter. Yeah, I know. It's so funny what they look at. So, okay, so let's just bring this home on TikTok. What are the things that we should be looking out for, should we be doing in 2024?
As we said with YouTube, TikTok are actually focusing a bit more on communities, and there's the book talk thing that I know you've mentioned before, plant talk, which Lisa probably wants to get in on, cottage talk, all those kind of niche communities that can help you grow, can help you become part of a community. And so it's not all just straight and crazy entertainment. There is that side of it that's starting to lean more into community. And there are challenges, like there's the sustainable living challenges that people are doing, and then they're doing TikToks on that, and loads of other challenges like that. And I think building in we want, obviously it's short form video content, but we want to try and increase the educational side of it. Let's try and make TikTok single-handedly amongst us all. Let's try and make TikTok a place that people come for educational content. And there is that bit there that wants to happen, but at the moment it still gets a little bit squashed by the kind of crazy fun content. But there is that growth there. Know that they are thinking more of SEO. Know that if you do create a bit of a balance with your entertainment, but also your educational content, that would probably stand you in good stead going forward. And then there's always the things of like still going, the Barbie movie, the Barbie filters, they're still going now. There's still a trend. And that was last year. There again, live stream shopping, that's becoming still a thing on YouTube and TikTok, and is going to be this year. And there's a bit of a growth, seeing a bit more of a growth in the fitness side of it, the fitness TikToks, and anything that's like your personal journey. People love that journey situation. You can tie that in with what Joy was saying earlier about storytelling. So you can have that whatever, if it's a weight loss journey or a whatever journey, that then you're kind of chopping off, and then the next part of the story and the journey is in the next.
I do love the weight loss journeys. I feel like they're very cool and it gives someone a platform that wants to be like, I mean, and everyone has a different reason for it, but I think for some people they do it for accountability. I saw one video from someone who got into healthy eating, and they're like, I just needed someone to hold me accountable. So I just started, talking about what I was making. And then now she's got this huge following, and it's in the health and well-being space for food, but it was mostly because she wanted the accountability to actually do it. So I do love those videos where people like I've seen hula hoop ones and different ones. And, I do think there is a level of accountability. And, I think it's worth talking about the haters. The haters always show up when you're making progress. Someone said to me, I'm really worried about putting myself out there because the haters are going to show up. And actually, I now have got to the point where I say, okay, the haters show up in two places. They show up when you first start, right? So a lot of the bots and a lot of the people that are want to like cause problems, they're looking for brand new accounts. So, that's why when a woman in her 40s, 50s, 60s starts an account, they get all these weird like males following them that are trying to DM them, and it's all fake anyway. So just know it's not a real person. But so really important on all of your networks, you need two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication on all of your networks, because what they're looking for is the vulnerability on a brand new account to sort of just get in and take it over, which they do. So we had someone in our community, she just started the program, she launched an account, and boom, got hacked straight away. So, what we said to her is, two-factor authentication. Now, Paula Tadzik is in our community. She has an amazing training on two-factor authentication. We'll link to it into the show notes. But you want two-factor authentication across all of your networks to protect you in the early days. And then what I say is that you attract who you are. So if you're a kind, generous, giving, lovely person, you're going to attract other kind, generous, giving, lovely people, and you're not going to get bombarded by, all of these haters. However, as you get more and more popular and, kind of go down the route of a Kim Kardashian or whatever, the haters are going to show up. Taylor Swift has a lot of haters, and yet she's at a whole nother level. She's at a stratospheric level. So in between being brand new and Taylor Swift, or being brand new and being Kim Kardashian, you're probably pretty safe when it comes to the haters, and they just don't show up on your channels. And so if you've got two-factor authentication, number one, that's important. And number two, learn how to block and delete, because that is your key to peace of mind, and recognize that half of the haters are not even real people, they're bots. But just being able to just block and delete, and get good at it early on, because then it gets easier and easier. You create your community that way.
Yeah, I was going to say block and delete. And it's there'll always be people. I follow a lot of riders, and say, it's more prevalent on, or I see it more on Instagram, for example, about them. But they'll put a pic that they're Olympic level riders, and they'll be riding a tricky horse, and someone will be saying stuff about the way that they're riding, and it's like, they're Olympic, and it's just people say things for the sake of saying it. They've got there's no foundation, there's no, and that happens in all different niches, and people are just, they're keyboard warriors, aren't they? They're hidden behind the sort of wall. They can say what they want, and I think people say there's a thing of like, I'm entitled to my opinion, but you don't have to voice your opinion. We're all entitled to our opinion, but you don't actually have to say it out there. But people do, and then you have to think it's not about you, it's about them. Delete and block, move on.
Yeah, delete and block. All right, Claire Louise has cracked her idea. She thinks now she's going to buy the trimmer and then do a video whilst talking about her business. And Claire Louise, I say go for it.
Creative bravery right there.
That is creative bravery. All right. So, Abby, what do we want to leave people with? Any final thoughts on YouTube and TikTok trends for 2024?
I think generally it sounds really, weird, but just do it. Like, there's so many people that are scared of starting because they might not be doing the right trend, or they might not be accepted, or like have the perfect content. But I think you only learn by trying, and it's not failing, it's just feedback. So if it doesn't work, just think it's feedback for the next idea. And you only really can utilize these trends if you're actually on the platform doing the thing. So just start somewhere. Most people have just started, or maybe they haven't started yet. Put the brave pants on and actually go and post on the platforms, and then you can start utilizing all the things we've spoken about today. But really just get out there and show yourself, but maybe not, you don't have to go too far into creative bravery.
Maybe don't show all of yourself.
All of yourself.
Oh, birthday suits, not no thanks. All right, awesome. Thank you, Abby. Well, if you'd like Abby to be your social media management certification coach, your YouTube coach, your TikTok coach, you should be joining Tech Pixies. You can find out more at techpixies.com. If you have any questions, email us at support@techpixies.com. And Abby, thanks again for your wonderful updates on TikTok and YouTube. And we look forward to seeing how they all play out this year.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right. So we have such a great team at Tech Pixies. It is just amazing. And Abby's been part of our team on and off over the years, and we're really glad that she's back. And we really want to thank the live audience. We had a great live audience today. Kelly, our community manager, stroke a social media manager who oversees all of our interns and our internship program, she's been pushing me to get the reminders out that we're doing events. So just in case you don't know, our live podcasting time now is 10:15 on Mondays. It'll run till about 11 o'clock. Most days, this was a bit longer because we were doing a double episode on YouTube and TikTok. It's one episode, but we squashed 2 into it. So you can come and join us live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. And you will not see us live on X/Twitter anymore because we've put a stake in the ground and have decided that is not a useful network for us to be on. And it's not been a useful network for our client to be on either. We have one agency client that we work with that we weren't seeing progress with it. So we're off that network for now, but we're on all the others. And we'd love for you to subscribe to us on YouTube. We are very, very, very close to our 500 subscribers. I think we're at 494 or 495. So we just need 5 more of you lovely people who are listening to this podcast to go and subscribe on YouTube. We would really, really love that. All right. Have a great day. And if you're interested in social media trends, we've got some more trends coming up. We've got LinkedIn, we've got Facebook, and we've got Instagram still to come on our updates. And so you make sure you're listening to this podcast as we release them. We release them every year at the beginning of the year. We like to do that or in the sort of February, March time period. Make sure you know what to work on for the year. And of course, if you want to get your social media management certification, techpixies.com is where to go. Email us at support@techpixies.com if you have any questions. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching us live, and we'll see you next time.